Welcome to Rise and Reinvent, the podcast where real stories of resilience meet the roadmaps of reinvention. I'm your host, Nicole M. Jones, and today's guest is a remarkable example of what it means to rise through grit, grace, and growth. Joining us is Allison Martinez, a strategic and results driven senior program manager in IT. With over 15 years of experience leading enterprise wide initiatives and cross functional teams. But Allison's story goes far beyond titles. From being the first in her family to graduate college, to navigating single motherhood, financial uncertainty, and a career pivot into project management. Allison has faced life's toughest moments head on. Her journey is a powerful reminder that your past doesn't define your potential. In this episode, Allison opens up about rebuilding her life after divorce, pursuing her master's degree while raising two children, and breaking generational cycles one bold step at a time. We talk about perfectionism, faith, and the importance of giving yourself grace when life doesn't follow a script. If you've ever doubted your ability to start over or wondered how to stay grounded through change, this episode is for you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rise and Reinvent podcast. Joining us today is Allison Martinez, a strategic and results driven senior program manager with over 15 years of experience in IT, bringing a proven track record of leading enterprise wide initiatives, steering cross functional teams, and optimizing project portfolios to deliver measurable business value. Allison, we are so glad to have you here today to share your journey and your story. Welcome to the Rise and Reinvent podcast.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for having me.
All right, so I'd like to get started as I usually do, which is, tell us who you are. Not just your career, which we know we talked about in the beginning, but your journey as an individual. I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, I thought about this and, this is such a great time and appreciate the open space to really share, who I am as an individual and my growth. So, life has definitely, this journey has not been easy. It's definitely has shaped me for who I am today. And there's been a lot of rough patches. I have two kids. We've been here in Colorado. We're natives. I've got, as I mentioned, two kids, 7 years apart, and a lot of growth is growing, from as a young age and to a mother and supporting them, emotionally and financially, spiritually. And, it's really defined my life. It's taught me how to be, strong and resilient and keeping, the possibilities of my career path open. And so growing up, it wasn't a kind of a it wasn't a need from graduation. We'll start there. It wasn't felt like, oh, you should go and have your path figured out, go and do the right things, go to college, get married, and life should just be as we see with this great outcome. It definitely wasn't like that. So it was more so of talking to my parents about let's time for me to just get a job. So that's where it kind of kicked off. And can we pause that real quick?
Yes.
A little bit more, just to follow a little bit more about my parents. So in their journey, it was just graduating high school and moving forward. And so that was, what we were grown up to really do. And so when I started my journey in IT and talking with my parents more, and I was very young, started talking about college and, it was kind of open in a sense of, well, we don't know, but we'll support you in doing that. And so being the first in my family of graduating in college, it was a lot of up and downs and, kind of unknowns, but they were there supporting at the same time, regardless if it was, the good, bad, the ugly. Missed a lot of birthdays, missed holidays due to homework, because at this time I already had children, um, actually my first. And then mid 20s, I ended up getting married, where that's, where my son came, his life came into place. So it was just a lot of uncertainty of, am I going to be able to do this? Because I was working full time, I had the kids, and, move forward. But all in all, that living environment and the support that I got from my parents, even though they didn't graduate from college, they were still very supportive in other factors of my life, with, making sure that I had support to even like maybe watch my kids while I was able to finish school. So there was a lot of, things that I had to maneuver around to change that. So yeah.
It's great that you had that support system. And then talk about, okay, once you left college, did you have a clear picture of where you wanted to go from a career perspective?
I did. So after my bachelor's, I was still with the telecom company that I had began with, and I had really thought out that I was going to stay in the on the network side of the house, and position myself to a data engineer. During my time with my kind of, I guess, completing my bachelor's, there was, electives that I took. And in that time, I took project management courses. So that's when it kind of switched geared on me. And I had gotten married during that time. And so one of my projects was planning out my own wedding. So that was very cool. And I thought to myself, you know what? I really like the people aspect of project management. It's not so much geared of, the engineering pieces and dealing with, outside, telcos, but it was more so the people interaction. And I loved that. So I took that with me, and I took that leap of faith and started from the ground up. Unfortunately, with my marriage, that kind of that broke down. So I had this moment in time where it was just, okay, I've got these two kids, I'm divorced, I'm financially broken. And when I mean broken, I mean completely, I had to start from the ground up. So there was this gap of where I wanted to do with my career. So I took that leap of faith, and I said, you know what? I'm going to start with a contractor role as a project coordinator. And that's where I began this journey, which taught me a lot, because then I moved up in these layers of learning, like the analyst position, the financial positions of how to work with those folks and the business side. And then I was fortunate to start with a company in cybersecurity as a project manager, which was the toughest position that I had. And I began my master's degree kind of right when I had started that. So my master's degree was all based around IT and project management. So those 2 years of doing that was the toughest time of my journey, because there was a lot of points that I thought, I'm definitely going to fail here. And what I mean by that is there was kind of that end time where you needed to have like a 3.0, and I just was not getting that. I mean, I'm trying to learn a new job, a new journey, very tough position. And then doing the master's, there was a point where I thought I was not going to complete. I mean, I was with the dean's office because I was like, couldn't get past some courses. So I say all that to say that um, that point in time, I thought, I'm probably not going to finish this. What am I going to do? And I really talked to some mentors, my parents. I needed help and support here. And I ended up meeting closer with people that at that time that understood some of those classes. that I was taking because it wasn't grasping. So I had some really good support system to help me finish those out and finish the program so that way I can keep moving forward with my career. So once I got over that hump, I moved into where I am today at Alteryx, and I've been here for 7 years. So switching gears on the software side of the house, I've had such great leadership here and support, and I've just been climbing, more and more with the project management, program management, and now into the portfolio management realm. So very fortunate to be where I'm at now today.
As you think about those challenging situations, so you said you had two kids, you were recently divorced, you were financially broken. What mindset shift did you have to make that was most critical to overcoming any challenges you encountered?
The mindset shift was me thinking back to some of the struggles that my parents went through from a financial standpoint and not having, that support system. It was, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to look at this in a way that's negative. I've got to look at this as a challenge. This is for my kids, and this is where I want to break these generational cycles. And in doing that, it was very tough because when I started thinking about my personal life and what we did, me and my mom actually moved into a duplex that had 4 buildings, and the leasing agent said, one of our tenants who does cleaning is actually moving out, and what we offered there is she cleans and we discount her rent. So at that time, I think my son was like 3 years old. That was so helpful because I was able to still finish work that was kind of in the midst of the master's degree, and get discounted rent so I can start to save money. And that's when I bought my first kind of smaller home and started to feel like, okay, you know what? I'm seeing that I'm getting support, but I'm also seeing, the rise in my faith, and these challenges are going to be here, but I can get through them one day at a time. So that was my shift change of, this is going to work, but you need to be persistent and you need to have that faith that you're going to get there.
Okay, thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable. um, when life is unpredictable, how do you stay centered and clear-headed?
That's been a tough one for me. Back several years ago, we didn't have right days of mental health, or it is okay to fail fast and move forward. Because I was always just felt like I was programmed to do more, but I'm learning that taking that step back, and this has taken me, like I said, several years to say, it's okay if this doesn't work out. It is
Mhm.
okay to speak up and say, I don't understand this. It is okay to um, be vulnerable and open, because that's where those learnings, I feel like, come in, or it has for me. Those learnings come and the mindset can change. And I know that because of all of the challenges I've already been through and the hard times, they've all looked good at the outcome. So I know that there's going to be some light at the end of this tunnel too.
Okay, great advice. What is one unexpected lesson in your journey that has taught you something valuable?
Let's see here. An unexpected time in my life that I thought really holds value today was probably that divorce timeframe is what comes to mind. That was the hardest um, time in my life, that being just in a broken state from a financial standpoint and not knowing where to turn. You don't want to ask your parents for too much because you've already asked them for enough. I feel like that was the time where I think I would share even with my kids. They were in that position with me, but sharing with them that, you know what, this was tough, but we got through that.
How did you manage it?
You know, it was managing that was tough because like I said, we missed a lot of maybe trips or time together with family or doing other things. So really managing that in a way that I was just so focused on the outcome and how I was going to get there that having, there was putting myself is not a self pretty much in a way that it wasn't about me, but it was going to be about my kids. So if
Mhm.
that meant, um, time spent away from, friends, that definitely didn't have any kind of interaction with dating. It was just my kids. So that's how I managed that, is keeping focus on how they were going to be brought up, and understanding that, them as adults and being able to focus themselves. I wanted them to look at me in that way, to know that you're going to have to be accountable.
Okay. So you really focused, you prioritized, which are two very important things when you're going through any major transition as well. So great. Um, so a project manager wears, I think, so many hats. Senior project manager wears so many different hats, right? There's always things changing. You're having to manage the deadlines. As you think about from a career perspective, then what are the daily or weekly habits that help you stay adaptable in a constantly changing and evolving work environment?
So I work from home, and it's a lot of people do. And the
Hmm.
interaction with video has just been, such a great way to have that understanding. You can see people as they are at home as well, and you can get those feels. But I, a lot of times, when I hear, or in these positions, um, that uncertainty, or if someone's quiet, they don't want to speak up around things, or maybe they just don't know the answers. So having that balance for me in this IT and project management space has been so good with my journey, because understanding those IT pieces, we'll say, and those fills, bridging those people on the phone opposed to just doing Teams and message all day, has been really helpful. Bring everybody together on a call, even though I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, another meeting. That's still that personal interaction is just there. There's the solutions in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's probably a 50-50 mix of people who love virtual and then others who just want it face to face. So
So
it's
true.
the world we live in right now.
Yeah.
My next question is, imagine that you're at the start of a major transition again. What advice would you give your younger self?
I would have to say that making sure that you give yourself grace. That has really been tough for me. I mean, we're human, we're not perfect. And that's one thing I feel like I don't know where I picked that up at, probably my mom, but being a perfectionist of things, making sure that it's done, and it's done right the first time. And if it's, I've always felt like if it's not done right the first time, oh my gosh, I failed. So I do share this a lot with my daughter, who's 25 and she's married with two children. So she's at a very young age had to, be a mom and be a wife and figure it out, because I've never been an enabler in that space. I've more so been, I'm here for you, but you're going to have to learn as you go and learn that path. And we talk often about things. So that's what I would say is I've got my daughter, of course, and that's like, I feel like my younger self and sharing those moments with her. And, it's okay. You may not know what you want to do. It's okay if you going to finish cosmetology school and if you don't want to do that long term, then you want to go into nursing school. It's okay to change those things. Um, but just ensure that what you do, that you have that passion to continue that forward.
Hmm. And by now, based on your career, what it means to be passionate. Because if you're not passionate in your career, it's really hard to go to work every day. You often spend more time at work than you do with your family and friends. And so that's great advice for your daughter moving forward.
Thank you.
So when you reflect on your journey, what legacy do you hope to leave?
I hope to leave a setting for my kids and even others, and their friends or, all around that, as a single mom during majority of the time, that that doesn't define you of where you grew up. You can get out of that space and you can climb and you can learn and you can come out of, we'll just say, the city to a suburb. I mean, you can really do what you feel inside. You can make those things happen because I did. And I am very proud of that. And, with my son, now he's the next one. He's at KU. He's a Jayhawk. And so, yeah, and seeing him, do so well in his academics and how smart he is, and he's engineering computer science. It's mind blowing of how well he does in these calculus and programming classes. It's mind blowing. But I feel like my legacy would be just for them to share with their children and do those things and continue to. I always call them like breaking these cycles because how I grew up in my younger years, there was just always these kind of next things, next things, next things that people kind of stayed the same. So always know that you can get out of that space and you can do and be whoever you'd like to be. Just that passion has got to be there.
That is great insight, Allison. I really appreciate all of your stories. I really appreciate the really pearls of wisdom that you shared with the audience. And I wish you continued success on your journey.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And I appreciate you having me on your podcast. It's really been an honor to join your conversation. I truly, wish you such well wishes and empowering others because this rise and reinvent. I mean, that title to your podcast says it all. And so thank you and good luck.
Thank you so much.